In Laos, 2,000 stone jars hold the burned dead. Each was hacked from solid rock, 6 tons of it. Some stand 10 feet tall, taller than any man, and buried inside many of them, the human dead. This is the Plain of Jars, and it terrifies historians. Over 2,000 jars lie across 90 separate sites. They are at least 2,000 years old, dark and silent. Nobody knows who carved them or why they vanished. The leading theory is chilling. These held rotting corpses. Diggers found human bones in the dark soil below. Burned bone, charred teeth, the cremated dead in gray ash. A whole civilization organized its labor around death itself. Carving one vessel took weeks of brutal, bloody work. Multiply that by 2,000. Many carvers died doing it, yet they left no writing, no cities, no name. So picture the scene 2,000 years ago, by firelight. A body is carried up the hill to a vessel. They lower the dead inside and seal the dark stone. Months pass. The flesh decays in silence and dark. Then the bones are removed and buried in the ground. It was a two-stage death rite, repeated thousands of times. Imagine standing among them as the gray mist rolls in. You touch the cold rock and feel the dead beneath. Some vessels are plain, a rare few are carved. On one of them, a human figure raises its arms. Was it the dead reaching up? A god? Nobody knows. Stone discs lie scattered nearby, the missing lids. Most caps are gone, smashed or lost in the grass. So the dead lay open to the sky for centuries. Where did the rock come from? It is a dark mystery. The nearest quarries sit 5 miles from the graves. They dragged 6-ton blocks across that brutal terrain, with no wheels, no machines, no written plans at all. One slip, and a heavy block crushed a man flat. This was a death cult that killed its own builders. Now, who actually were these vanished people around the fire? The first scientist to study them was a French woman. Madeleine Colany arrived in the 1930s. She crawled into dark caves and found burned bone. She decided the caves were ancient crematoriums. Bodies were burned by fire, then placed in the rock. Colany dated the whole site to the Iron Age. Glass beads, bronze, iron knives lay with the dead. These people traded across a vast prehistoric network. Then Colany died before she could solve the riddle. Her great question still stares from a blank page. For 40 years after, almost no one could return, because the plain became one of the deadliest places on Earth. In the 1960s, a secret war erupted here. For 9 straight years, bombs fell on this land. Over 2 million tons of ordnance struck the dark fields. It became the most heavily bombed country in history. A plane load of bombs dropped every 8 minutes for 9 years. The ancient dead were buried again, under fire and steel. Whole burial fields were blasted into rubble overnight. Each shattered vessel erased a clue we can never recover. 2,000 years of evidence, gone in a single blast of fire. And the killing did not stop when the war ended. 80 million bomblets never detonated. They wait, still armed. They lie in the soil, around the dead, today. Children still die finding them, 50 years later. A plow strikes metal, fire, and a family is gone. So here the ancient dead and the modern dead mingle. Visitors must walk only between painted red marker stones. Step off the path, and you may not step back. Most of the 90 sites remain too dangerous to dig. Their secrets stay locked beneath unexploded steel, which means the answer may be sealed away forever. But after 2005, a few cleared sites began to talk. In the 2010s, scientists returned with new tools. They scanned the dark ground without disturbing the dead. Beneath the surface, they found hidden burial pits, bodies laid out beside the vessels, never disturbed. Bundles of bones packed tight, then sealed in dark clay. Infants buried in tiny ceramic pots of their own. 3 different burial methods, side by side in one grave. The same dead, honored 3 separate ways. New dating confirmed it. These graves are 2,000 years old. Some remains reach back well over 2,500 years. The site held the dead across 16 long centuries. Generation after generation came back to bury their dead. Yet still, no homes, no temples, no city of stone. They built nothing for the living, everything for the dead. It is as if a people existed only to entomb itself. Where they lived between funerals, no one has found. Maybe their wooden villages simply rotted to dark mud. Only the stone survived. Only the dead endured. And the stone is what raised the strangest theories. Local legend says they were not tombs at all. The stories speak of a lost race of giants. Giants who brewed rice wine in colossal stone cups. They drank under a red sky to a bloody victory. Folklore, yes. But the cremated bone says otherwise. The truth is grim and dark as any giant's feast. These were the abandoned dead of a forgotten people. A people who poured 16 centuries of work into burial. And then, in the dark, vanished from the human record. No descendants step forward. No language survives them. They are as gone as the people sealed in the rock. So why does this lonely plain still grip us? Because it stares back at our oldest fear, the dark. What happens to the body when the breath stops? These people answered with stone heavier than memory. They built monuments meant to outlast their whole world. And it worked. The rock outlived everything they were. It outlived their names, their gods, their tongue. Then a war they never imagined nearly finished the job. So the dead were buried twice, by love, then by fire. Now teams race to map all 90 sites fast. Each cleared field is mapped, measured, and recorded. They photograph every vessel before erosion eats it, because the soft sandstone dissolves a little each year. In 300 more years, many of them may be gone. The dead are slipping out of reach a second time. And the central question still has no firm answer. Who carved 2,000 of these, and then disappeared? The bones say, funeral. The silence says everything else. Picture the last burial before the people died out. A grieving family lowers their last dead into the dark rock. They seal the stone, expecting others to follow. But no one ever came back. The path went quiet. The plain fell silent for 2,000 long years, until bombs broke that silence with fire and steel, and until scientists came to lift the lids again. What they find inside still ends in one dark word: dead. Always the dead. Thousands upon thousands of them. This is a graveyard the size of a country, a graveyard whose mourners themselves are long dead, and whose own tombs are now graves of lost clues. Every blast of fire erased an answer we will never have. So we are left with stone, bone, and silence. A vanished people, a deadly war, a frozen riddle. Walk the safe paths and the dark scale overwhelms you. Thousands of mouths of stone open to the gray sky. Each one once cradled a body, then let it go. They held the dead through rot, through fire, through time, and they hold their final secret even now. Who they were after 2,000 years, we may never learn. Why they vanished, the dark soil refuses to confess. But this much the cremated bone has already proven. This plain was never built for the living at all. It was built, stone by crushing stone, for the dead. 2,000 stone jars, full of the human dead, carved by a people who left no name behind, buried once by grief, and a second time by fire, and waiting still, in the silence of a deadly plain.